Hey everyone, welcome to the second installment of Stand Up and Vote Trivia Show, a trivia game show about voting hosted by Zumiez and Voto Latino to show you why your voice and your vote matters and how you can use them to impact the issues you care about. I'm Camille Martin from Texas.
And I'm Danny Turkel, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. We're excited to be hosting today and stoked to be partnering with Zumiez again this year to continue to help inspire and activate your community to stand up and vote for the issues that matter to you.
We have several special guest contestants who will be joining us to compete to see who knows the most about our right to vote. For every question our contestants answer correctly, you all will win Zumiez stash points. Each contestant will have 2 lifelines to ask you all for help if they run into trouble. Hit the chat to help out when the time comes.
After the show, we'll be answering your questions about voting, so drop your questions in the chat and we'll answer as many as we have time for. And with that, let's jump in and welcome our contestants. Our first contestant is Nora Vasconcellos, professional skateboarder from Welcome Skateboards. Hi, Nora. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me.
Where are you joining us from right now?
I am in Haiku, Hawaii on Maui.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Is Rod Deere from Zumiez. Thanks for joining us, Rod. Where are you from?
I'm in Richmond, Virginia right now, not in Hawaii at all.
Basically. So before we get going, I have a question for both of you. Why is voting important to you at both the local and national level? Let's start with Nora.
Voting is important to me because it's really the one thing that we have the power to raise our voices and make a change, especially together. You know, the more people who come together and vote, the more power we have and the more unity we have as a country and as a community. So I think it's just a great and really fortunate thing that we get to do.
Cool. Rod?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways people can make change in their lives and in society, but voting has got to be the main thing we do and we commit to as a society to make that change and let the voice of the people be heard. So
nice.
All right, well, with that being said, let's dig into our trivia. All trivia questions for today are on taxes. I really hope to learn a lot from you all, and let's see, who gets the right amount of correct questions, who wins. Let's get to it. So we're going to alternate between the two of you to ask questions. Most of these questions are multiple choice. We'll ask Nora the first question, Rod the second, and so on. Don't forget, I want to remind you all, you have 2 chances to use a lifeline to ask the audience for help. To our audience, remember, for every question our contestants answer correctly, we'll drop a code in the chat for you to redeem Zumiez stash points. With that being said, Nora, first question to you. Multiple choice. Which of these are not one of the 3 main kinds of tax? A, insurance, B, income, C, property, D, goods and services.
I believe it's A, insurance.
That is correct.
Woo!
woo!
All right, our current score, Nora with 1 point. Rod, next question to you. Another tax question, shocker, but let's get to it. What is the average percentage of income that each American spends on taxes each year? It's a multiple choice. Here are the answers. A, 27.5, B, 31.6, C, 29.9, D, 31.1. I am happy to repeat this.
I'm going to start out strong here and use one of my 2 lifelines on the very first question. Those percentages are all very close to each other. So I'm going to go to a lifeline. And could you also repeat the 4 options, though?
For sure. So just to refresh everyone on the question, I asked, what is the average percentage of income that each American spends on taxes each year? A, 27.5, B, 31.6, C, 29.9, D, 33.1. The audience is being polled right now. We'll wait a couple seconds to see what you all think.
And is this all tax that, so not just income tax, but if like sales tax and things that they pay too?
That's correct.
Okay, all tax.
All right. And with that, I think we have a consensus.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with the audience on that.
Okay, the audience says C, 29.9, and that is correct. Good job, y'all.
All right. Thanks for not letting me down, y'all.
All right, current score is 1-1. Let's go to the next question for you, Nora. This is another percentage question, multiple choice answer. What percentage of American tax filers will owe no individual income tax or receive money back this year in 2020? Is it A, 43%, B, 28%, C, 61%, D, 38%?
Oh, I'm gonna follow under the way Rod plays and call a little lifeline out here to the audience, because I do not know.
All right. Well, I'll read it out again to the audience, and you all click your option on the poll. We have A, 43% of what percentage of American tax filers will owe no individual income or receive money back. So A, 43%, B, 28%, C, 61%, D, 38%. We'll wait a couple seconds for that poll to come back.
What did Chewy have to say?
Yeah.
I heard 3 barks, so he's saying C.
All right.
But he might be trying to trick you, Nora.
You know what? I think he's trying to trick me. I'm gonna go with A for this one. I'm
Okay.
scared.
And it's correct. Good job to the audience, to Nora.
Thank
You
you.
guys are killing it.
Gosh, you guys really saved me on that one. I appreciate it. Chewy, I'm not listening to you ever again.
He's on my team, so.
I know.
All right, question number 4 to Rod. This is a who said this quote question, multiple choice. Here's the quote. The hardest thing in the world to understand is the income tax. Was it Ronald Reagan, B, Albert Einstein, C, 50 Cent, D, Tony Hawk? Happy to repeat it back.
I'm going to go with Albert Einstein, B.
That is correct.
Damn. I would pick Tony Hawk.
Let me hear that sound. Let me hear that correct answer sound.
There we go. Awesome. Well, we're tied 2-2 right now. This is the last question I'm asking before Danny will come in. But this question's for you, Nora. Another multiple choice. How many states in the US have no income tax? A, 10, B, 5, C, 3, D, 7.
I believe it's 5 states. So which one was that?
That was answer B.
B. I'm going to go with answer B.
I am so sorry. That is incorrect.
Is it 7?
It is 7.
Damn it.
And here are those states. It's Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming.
Oh no.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I apologize about that wrong answer.
We're all learning here, guys.
I mean, you're not in any of those states, right? So
I am not in any of those states or from any of those states. So
yeah, I'm with you.
I'm going to be ignorant on that.
All right. Well, with that, I'll kick it over to Danny.
Thanks, Camille. So let's do a quick check-in. How's everyone feeling? Y'all are good?
Good. I'm learning, so.
What we're all here for. So if I'm keeping track correctly, each of our contestants has 1 lifeline left. So question 6 is for Rod. In Florida and 19 other states, which of the following would you pay the least amount of sales tax on? Least being 0. Kit Kat, Reese's, Sour Patch Kids, or Skittles?
Does this mean these are taxed differently?
Yeah.
How weird. I'm going to use a lifeline on this one. I'm hoping there's some candy addicts out there who know the tax, know what kind of sales tax they do or don't pay on various treats.
Let's go to the audience, see what they have to say. Let me read those answers or those options again. So in Florida and 19 other states, which of the following would you pay the least amount or 0 sales tax on? A, Kit Kats, B, Reese's, C, Sour Patch Kids, D, Skittles. Not a lot.
I see a lot of D's. I do have a Skittles tattoo. Should I just go
No.
with that?
Do you really?
You decide what
There
that
we
means
go.
yourself.
You have a?
Hey.
Does it say taste the rainbow?
It doesn't, but it does have
That's
a
okay.
rainbow.
I know. That's amazing.
Is that a
You know what?
sign?
I think it might be. Oh, somebody just said A really emphatically, though. No, I'm going to risk it. I'm just going to go with D.
D. Skittles is not the right answer.
Bummer.
Right answer is
Welcome to the club.
Kit Kats have flour in them, so they're considered a food product and therefore
What?
are taxed like any other groceries. All the others are considered candy and not considered food.
That's crazy.
Whoever was putting A really emphatically on the chat, I let you down.
I bet they're a gluten-free
Zoe.
person. They know this shit.
I let you down.
Of that list, Kit Kat is the best, so
I like them. They're candy. Come on.
they are candy. It's true. So our next question for Nora. Research has shown that women's products are priced higher than the same product marketed towards men. What is this phenomenon called? A, a luxury tax, B, a ladies tax, C, women's tax, or D, the pink tax?
I'm going to confidently say that it is D, the pink tax.
Is the pink tax, and it is dumb.
Yep. Welcome to the life of a woman.
Awesome. Rod, how many tax brackets
Yes.
are in the US in 2020? A10, B7, C5, or D8?
I believe it is B7.
That is correct. There are 7 tax brackets. There's that sound.
Yeah. Love it. Love to hear it.
So can we get a score check? What are our contestant scores right now? And while we're getting that check, Nora, your next question. Oh, you guys are 3-3. Awesome.
We're tied. This is intense.
Highlighter right here. Taxes are typically due on which date, not including extensions or years where coronavirus is happening? A, March 15th, B, April 15th, C, May 15th, or D, July 4th?
I'm also going to confidently say that it is B, April 15th, because I have had to file extensions in the past. And that, I hope, is right.
He is right, April 15th. For this year, it's today. So anyone
Yay!
you should do.
Happy Tax Day, everyone.
Go out
Happy-
and celebrate.
Yeah.
Neutral tax.
Or
day.
stay in and celebrate.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. Just cry inside with a mask on. Write letters to the government. Alone.
All good suggestions. Rod, question 10. As a percentage of income, what is the difference in taxes paid by working class Americans compared to the richest 1%? A, working Americans pay 50% less. B, they pay the same. C, working class Americans pay 15% more. Or D, working class Americans pay 20% less.
That's a percentage of income. Can you say those one more time?
So A, working class Americans pay 50% less than the 1%. B, they pay the same. C, working class Americans pay 15% more, or D, they pay 20% less.
I'm gonna say C.
C is correct. Working Americans pay on average 15% more in income tax than the richest 1%. So right now we are tied at 4-4. Camille, would you like to do the honors of a tiebreaker?
For sure. I guess I'll ask you this question first, Nora, in the sake of order. And if you get it wrong, I'll deflect it back to Rod. Let's go. It's a true or false question. Nora, if you win the lottery today, you could potentially take home more money based only on what state you live in. Is that statement true or false?
I have absolutely no idea. I'm going to say true because I have a 50-50 chance that I could be right.
You are
He's right.
Awesome.
I won.
Good
I
job.
learned. Yeah, sorry, Rod and Chewy.
We're all. Hey, it's all right. We're all winners here.
We are all winners.
We're winners.
I'm a little bit more of a winner.
Yeah, no, we're
little
winners
bit
for our taxes. That's, I think, the real winning moment right now.
Awesome.
That's all
Thanks, Camille.
for our contestants. Thank you to Nora and Rod for playing. Congratulations to Nora for winning the second Stand Up and Vote trivia show. And thank you guys, our audience, for your help answering some of these questions and for tuning in. We're going to be on for a little bit, answering questions about voting and whatever else you guys want to learn about. So thanks everybody.
Epic. Thank you.
Let's see what questions we have.
So we have a first question from the audience. I'll go ahead and ask it to our group. How does my vote impact how my tax dollars get spent? Anyone want to take that on?
Well, I think one of the main ways is that you're voting on representatives who are going to decide exactly how those tax dollars are spent through budgets and things. So it's one of the main reasons, frankly, we started like the country, right? Is that we wanted to make sure that our tax dollars were being spent toward the things we wanted to be spent for. We wanted to have representation in that. And so when you're voting on local offices and national offices, anybody who has any responsibility in voting on budgets or creating budgets, that's all about how your tax money is being spent. So you want to make sure you're voting on somebody who you believe is going to be allocating the money toward things that you agree with. So, and it's also why it's really important to vote locally too, right? So like how local funds are given to education or to municipal projects or things like that, like that's why you have to vote in those local elections and not just in the national ones, because that stuff's going to impact your day to day.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty perfect answer right there. Go to our next question. In your perspective, why is it best to influence us to vote? So Camille and I both work at Voto Latino, which is a grassroots organization that seeks to register mostly young people to vote and make sure that they turn out to the polls with the information that they have to make the best decision for them, their families, and their communities. So we are not telling you who to vote for. We're not telling you how to vote. All we want is for representation of our electorate to be as diverse and as representative as possible, so that the people that are eventually in charge and the people who make all the decisions that affect our daily lives, like Rod was just describing, truly have our best interests at heart. So we at Voto Latino, we don't tell anyone how or who to vote for. All we want is for you guys to register to vote, and then make your voices heard at the polls on November 3rd, which is Election Day.
Yeah, and beyond that too, I think, oftentimes it's overwhelming when deciding who to vote for, where do I stand on what issue, like where can I find credible information to inform my vote. If you all are interested, you can head to our website, votolatino.org. We have a tab on the website, Understand the Issues, where we really write what you can think of an issue. If that is of interest for you to check out, by all means, please do.
Let's see what else we have. Camille, why don't you take this one? I want to influence how my local tax dollars get spent. How can I do that other than voting in November?
You can do that in so many different ways, and I am happy to take this question. We'd love for you to get looped into our programming at Voto Latino. We're working to organize in all 50 states to make sure that, number one, people are registered to vote, but that they also know how they can use their voice beyond voting. You can text volunteer to our number 73179 to learn more information on how to organize from home with us. We're running text banks. We've sent out, hundreds of thousands of texts to people within our network to let them know how they can get involved. So again, you can text volunteer at 73179, our number, to get looped into our programming. We'd love to have you join us.
So another question is, what should I do if I can't vote? And I will leave that to the group. What do y'all think?
I think just educating yourself, and I would assume if you're not old enough to vote, continue having open dialogue about it with people who do vote. Maybe get like their consensus on things that they've learned. And yeah, I think just doing your research and staying educated and asking questions. Definitely don't be afraid to ask questions. I think a lot of us didn't learn a lot about voting. We didn't learn a lot about taxes and really basic information in school. And so we kind of have these feelings of like these insecurities about it. And I know as a 27-year-old, I've been so insecure about so much of the process and the knowledge behind it for years. And it's really only until like the last 2 years that I've been trying to get a better hold on kind of what my place is and what I can do to make the changes that I want to see happen. So I think education is huge.
How about you, Rod?
Yeah, I think there's a few things you can still be involved, politically, even if you can't vote. In a lot of different ways locally, you can go to, council meetings, school board meetings, things like this, or if it's just a matter of, age as well. I think just having conversations with friends and family who can vote and trying to influence them, since you cannot vote, is important. I know a lot of people who are on the fence about voting at all, one of the main reasons they decide to vote is often pressure from friends or people close to them. So that kind of peer-to-peer, staying diligent on that, right? And just making sure you're encouraging others, even if you're not able to vote yet through age.
So this question is specifically for Rod. Do you support a Green New Deal?
Yep. Yeah, I think, obviously what that would look like would be up to lawmakers at this point, but I feel that we are, especially for such a powerful country, we're so far behind when it comes to climate action and legislation. And we just have been dragging our feet for various reasons that are, we'll get into, and this is my personal opinion, but I believe that we're really far behind, and it's something that we need to prioritize coming up. And that's one of the main things I vote for, is candidates who believe that climate action is urgent. And to be honest, this is the Zumiez Twitch channel. Nora's a professional skateboarder. Like, we're involved in, like, it might not be directly, but we're part of our lives is the outdoors, and like climate change impacts everything.
Sorry about that, everyone. Technical difficulties. I think we got cut off talking about mail-in voting. So at VL, we are pushing for universal mail-in voting across the country so that people can vote from their homes without having to choose between whether they can exercise their constitutional rights or risk their health. So we are also pushing for extended voting days so that people can kind of spread out the days that they go in to vote. And we're also pushing policymakers to provide more funds for states and municipalities to provide clean, safe facilities that people can vote in without having to risk infection, and also move polling places to venues that have enough space for people to physically distance. In Atlanta, they're using one of the sports stadiums as a polling place so that people can do just that. So it wasn't a question on mail-in voting, it was just that mail-in voting is safe, and we all agree with that.
And just as, you all said mail-in voting is safe and such an exclamation, I want to also say and plug, like, activism can happen from your couch, from your room, wherever you're at right now. We've actually at VL put together a form that you can submit right now that will email your senators to let them know that you want to see election protection and voting modernization happen so that everyone has the right to vote on November 3rd. So what you can do to get this form on your phone right now, text the word protect to our number 73179. This email is already all written up for you. All you'll have to do is put your name, email, and zip code and review the email, make sure that it's being sent to your two senators. But in the body of the text, it's advocating for 30-day early voting periods, universal solution to vote by mail in all 50 states, same-day voter registration during the election, and hazard pay for poll workers. Again, that's text protect to our number 73179. With that being said, though, let's jump to the next question. I see someone's asking, do you support having voting day as a national holiday to increase voting? Nora, would you like to answer that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think if it gets more people out there and it gives emphasis on voting and how much of a priority it should be to everybody as a citizen of this country, I think definitely having it as a holiday and making it really easy. I know that most businesses and things acknowledge voting, of course, and try to make it easy for their employees, but everybody's different. Everybody kind of runs on crazy schedules. So I don't see an issue with having a day that's set just, for making this country better and giving people their voice. So yeah, I think that would be great.
Awesome. I totally agree with that. I think, that would only make it easier for people to go vote because oftentimes, like, I know polling sites close at 7 p.m. If you're in line before 7, though, you do have the right to vote, but that doesn't work with everyone's work schedule. So just like having it be a national holiday would just make voting so much more inclusive.
Completely.
Yeah. So here's the next question. Danny, I think you would like to answer this. Who decides how my state and local taxes get spent?
Yeah, so Rod kind of touched on this earlier. The people you elect into office decide that. These people, and frankly, it's also your local officials. It's not necessarily the president or your senators. Your local and state officials have just as much power, if not more so, on the things that affect your daily life as your national politicians. So getting out to vote, supporting the politicians, the candidates that fall in line with your values and what you think your tax money should be spent on is really important so that you can literally be putting your money where your beliefs are. Do your research, figure out which candidates are supporting the things that you believe in and who will put your tax dollars to work for the things that you want to see changed in your community, in your state, and across the country. Let's see. Do we ever get to vote directly on changes in taxes or just for candidates who make those decisions? Would anyone like to take that one? I'll take that
I'm
one.
not actually. I was gonna say I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I don't
There are specific referendums on ballots sometimes, right? That gets directly to a budget initiative or a law that could impact taxes. So sometimes.
Yeah, so it depends on your state or your city, but in some places around the country, there are referendums on ballots to impose a tax on something or to lower a tax on something else in order to, or so that people can vote on it. So it depends on where you live, but it is possible that when you show up to vote, there is going to be a question on the ballot that asks you about a certain tax on something or other. If you haven't paid your taxes yet, are you still able to vote? Yes. Not paying your taxes will not affect your ability to vote. You may get a knock on your door from the IRS, but you can still go vote.
Just a reminder to everyone, we're here to answer any questions you may have about like the voting process, taxes as well. So drop your questions in the chat and we'll get to it.
Is there? I have a question for you guys. Is there a good centralized kind of resource for people to understand like key dates and deadlines for their areas, because everything's so different all over the country, and every state has their own laws around, mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, in-person voting, how many days early you can vote, etc. Is there a great place to find that info easily?
For sure, there are several that come to mind. The first being, you can always check up on your state's Secretary of State's website, but I know on our website, votolatino.org, as well as Rock the Vote, they have a great election center that works as well. Zumiez actually also has this up and running. If you go to zumiez.com/standup, there's information on state by state about how you can vote.
And also for anybody viewing who isn't registered yet, you can actually register at Zumiez right now. If you go into your local Zumiez store, they are set up to get you registered to vote as well. Or if you're not sure if you are registered, they can check for you too. There's obviously other resources. You can do that online as well. We can do it in our stores for you right now too, as part of our stand-up initiative. So we're here to help also.
So here's a good question. How many times a year do you vote? You don't have any guesses?
That depends on the year.
It also depends on where you live because Rod, as you're in Virginia, you all vote in a very different schedule than the rest of the nation. But yeah, I would definitely, the next general election should be like in your calendars, ingrained in your brain. It's November 3rd, the first Tuesday of November, and that's the presidential election. But Texas just had a Democratic primary yesterday. It definitely depends on your own state's primary and general election schedule.
And this one I think is targeted at the VL team. So Camille, how are we working to get more young people to vote?
In so many different ways. I think, what energizes me about our work at Voto Latino is like our use of social media. I find myself, especially now during COVID, like most of my communicating and talking to my friends is like in DMs on Instagram and Twitter, I guess, because it's easier to talk about a meme or information in that regard rather than text now. But yeah, I think we're doing a really good job getting young people excited and ready to vote in these online spaces, right? And really just sparking conversation to make sure that everyone knows that their voice matters, and it's super important to make sure that not only yourselves, but your friends, your family members are ready and pumped up to plug in on November 3rd.
Yeah. as part of our voter registration efforts for the 2020 election cycle, we have already registered more than 210,000 people towards our goal of registering 500,000 people total for the year. And 74% of those that we've registered have been between the ages of 18 and 34. So our demographic is young people, is people who are going to show up in massive waves and make a difference in this upcoming election. So please get registered, make sure your friends are registered, make sure your family members are registered, and then on November 3rd, get out and vote on election day.
And go, I
That's
would say go
awesome.
vote together. Get your friends together and make them all go, like pile in and all go vote together. Like, you know, I think sometimes young people want to do things in groups, and it's understandable. So go vote in a group, you know, like make it a thing. I know it's weird right now with the pandemic and with COVID, but you know, you guys have influence over your friends and your family groups, and you should utilize that influence to get them to go vote. And there's companies like Voto Latino make it easy to engage things, and you can send your friends messages and reminders, and social media is really powerful. There's so many ways. It's just you just have to do it. You actually just have to say, I'm going to commit to getting people I know excited about it like I am.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I think that I think a lot of us probably grew up around people, had family members and stuff who, you know, are like, yeah, I could vote, but I don't feel like my voice is heard and things like that. And I think that's such a dangerous mindset, and every vote matters. And think about the interactions that you have every day on social media and the amount of, like memes you come across, and think about the state of where we are now. Think about what makes you uncomfortable on a daily basis, what you want to see change, and think about all the people that you know who you're friends with who agree and have the exact same views that you do, and rally. And you know, I think we're in a really vital time where there's so many young people who, because of social media, have a whole newfound appreciation for their voice as a citizen, and their voice as a community. So do not, fall victim to that idea that your voice doesn't matter, because it really does. And right now it matters probably more than ever before. So it's important.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I just want to echo, you can visit zumiez.com/standup right now to register yourself to vote. You can text that link to some of your friends right now and make sure they're registered. And, just continue to be tuned in, and remember to get out and vote on November 3rd. With that being said, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. I also really want to thank Nora and Rod for joining us. This is an extremely important year. We need to register to vote and actually show up at the polls. Let's make sure that we do our part, educate our peers, and demand for our voices to be heard. That's really how we create change. Keep listening and keep learning.
So don't forget
Yes.
to vote, learn more, and take action at zumiez.com/standup, and also at votolatino.org. You can also send a text saying volunteer to 73179 to learn about voting related volunteer opportunities near you. So get registered, use your voice, and go vote. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks. Bye.
Mhm.